Feel safe, be safe.
Wildfire, as everyone knows, has emerged as one of the big major issues affecting Oregon and, for that matter, all western states. A real actionable response that's including how do we fight fire, actively managing our forests so that we don't have the fuels out there, and how are we going to protect communities from smoke exposures. The council is really set up to have a comprehensive strategy that's based on action and based on protecting our communities.
The primary focus we as a board have come through with is that in researching the policies for fire management, yes, prescribed fire has its place on the landscape, but not during fire season. We, as a county, passed a proclamation that says once the state fire marshal declares fire season, it'll be nothing but full suppression, and recently took a resolution to the National Association of Counties, essentially says that they support coordination between agencies and local governments for the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens regarding fire. Prescribed fire, fire season, anything that affects our citizens.
This is Lily Morgan from Josephine County, and we are at the Rogue Leadership Forum today looking at the best possible partnerships that we can come up with to fight the fire issues and the smoke issues that we're facing in Southwest Oregon. So looking forward to coming up with solutions and the partnerships to get the job done so we don't face what we have the last few years with catastrophic fires and smoke that invades our communities for months to come. So this is a good opportunity and we hope to be successful in the outcome.
Seeing so many people come together has really been exciting for me because there's a lot of expertise, there's a lot of resources, and as we attempt to do a shared stewardship approach to keeping people safe, it's really important that we get together. So my name is Merv George Jr. and I'm the Forest Supervisor for the Rogue River Siskiyou National Forest. The first thing is making sure to get fires out if they're threatening life and property. The second thing that I'm going to focus in on is when it's safe to do so, to put some fire on the landscape when it's cooler and not during fire season, to reduce these same fuels that are giving us so much fits during the fire season.
Bob Horton, I'm the Fire Chief of Jackson County Fire District 3 in Southern Oregon. The challenges that are facing us in terms of the mega fires and the wildfires that we've been experiencing out in this valley, particularly in the last couple of years, but across the state and across the region, incredibly concerning to us in the fire community, those in our communities in general, our constituents and our patrons are extremely concerned as they ought to be. And really the takeaway from the work that's being done now is this is an extraordinary collaboration of dozens on dozens of interested stakeholder groups who are coming together with a common purpose. It's really an inspiring showing of humanity to not only be able to provide for a greater quality of life for our people, but to be strong stewards of our land so that our future for us and generations to come is incredibly bright.
Very pressing issue. It's bearing down on us. Fire season is approaching, and I am really interested in preventing my home and other homes in my community from being impacted by wildfire, specifically from being burnt down. That's my main reason for being involved.
Quite a collaboration of folks. We're here looking for practical solutions to help us unravel some of the issues surrounding wildfires today here in the state of Oregon. And my focus really is on planning for large wildfire events in advance of their occurrence. That way, when they do occur, we can respond more appropriately to those situations.
Well, I just think it's grand if all of the people all over the state have come together today to be concerned about water. It just warms my heart because I know that they really will leave here today feeling more impressed about the water, because I have told them that we're all born in water. We cannot live without it. It's our job to take care of it, stop the garbage in the rivers and streams and oceans, because there's life in that water, and it's our job to keep it clean for them. Because we cannot live on this planet without the animal kingdom. I was in Ohio at the Ohio River with Dr. Emoto, the Japanese scientist who had proven water could heal. He and I stood on the riverbank and rested the Ohio River that they had us come to do. And I prayed that God has still kept the river good for them over there. We were taught when we were little that prayer works. You too will remember your prayers because they work. It has nothing to do with religion or church.
These horses are part of this environment. They're critical to the maintenance of the environment. And by taking them out of their critical role, we throw the whole system into a turmoil.
There's lots and lots of fuel, and we need lots and lots of horses eating lots and lots of fuel. It's either going to fuel the horses or it's going to fuel the fires, either one of the two.
A law was passed in 1971 that sought to protect wild horses. It protected the horses.
Well, welcome. This is Thursday, March 19th, 2020, special meeting / emergency meeting, Curry County Board of Commissioners. Did Commissioner Pash call in? Are you on the phone?
Commissioner Pash said he would call in 2:15 to 2:30.
Great. Thank you, Staff Jesuit. So everybody kind of bear with us. We've been going through some movements forward here and dealing with the COVID-19 issue, and that's why we called this meeting. Frankly, I wanted to postpone this meeting till tomorrow, but I got convinced that today would be better, and I'm now in full agreement with that and appreciative of. So we're going to do, even though it's a special meeting, we're going to go ahead and do a Pledge of Allegiance, if we could, please. Commissioner Gold, would you mind leading us?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we would like to identify the folks that are on the phone and speak right up, and then after you identify yourself, could we remind you to mute your phone. So let's go ladies first, A through M.
Shelley Denny, Chief Deputy Clerk.
Shelley Denny, thank
Debbie
you.
Crumley. Julie Swift. Debbie Crumley, Treasurer.
Thank you, Treasurer Crumley. Okay, how about men, A through M? Or did we leave out anybody? Just double checking on the ladies' side there.
Yes, this is Renee Colin, Curry County Clerk.
Thank you. Okay. Any others?
Upper Madison Economic Development. Not sure if you heard Julie Swift, Payroll and HR.
Yes, and all your volumes are very good. Good job, Eric and Miranda. Any men on the phone, A through M, please? Thank you, CEO Fortman. Okay,
Thomas Langford with the trial court for Cruz Murray. I'm crashing the party.
Hey, we're glad to have you here. Thanks for checking in with us. Who is right after CEO Fortman? Did I miss one? Okay, any other men, A through M?
Josh Hopkins, Curry County Parks.
Thank you, Josh. Any men N through Z? Thank you, sir. Okay, so again, I'll ask everybody to mute your phones, and if you just want to say Commissioner Boyce, when you have a slight pause there, I'll make sure and get to you. I'm taking notes here. So, to my right is Commissioner Gold. I'm told that Commissioner Pash will be joining us within 10 or 15 minutes. To Commissioner Gold's right is Council Huddle and Staff Jesuit in the audience. I have Assessor Jim Cullen and Phil Dixon from Coos Curry Electric, our IT. I have Roadmaster Christensen and Director of Planning, Curry County Planning, Becky Crockett. Thanks very much for being here. So the purpose of this meeting is just to, I'm going to start with just offering a little bit of good news. We worked very hard yesterday to coordinate Council Huddle and his staff on the whole emergency declaration, and that started from George Rhodes. We'll start at the bottom here, and he sent a nice thank you letter to Council Huddle, and we found out from David Brock Smith and his Chief of Staff, Shell Megson, and I'll just read that part there. Excellent job, George. While I was monitoring the county meeting yesterday and the President's press conference, I was also listening to the Joint Special Committee on Coronavirus Response. During their discussion, they talked about this topic, which is SBA, and immediately went through my mind that Curry was already on this. George was there to talk about it already that morning. So that's really good news. You heard Emergency Management Coordinator Dumeier today say we're also connected to California. We're not exactly sure what that means, but it certainly does not put the county in a bad spot when it comes to recognizing the impact, the incredible negative impact on our employers, our companies, our small businesses here, our big businesses. And so help is on the way, and I know that, as I also mentioned earlier today, Economic Development Coordinator Madison has done some great work on this, and in conjunction with David Brock Smith's office and George Rhodes and myself, we've got some really good things happening there to help the businesses prepare. So the next thing is, I just got this, just a little update. Yes, this, let's see, on the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, the latest on workers, the whole infrastructure and what those guidelines are as we move forward. So that'll be on our website. And the last thing here, the news is, and yes, this is my first cousin, very proud of her, Oregon Secretary of State Bev Clarno. The May primary, we've been wondering if that might be postponed. Oregon has a mail-in elections process system, so we're proud to say that it looks like our primary election is going to be as we had hoped. So that's very good news. Also, one more thing, I got a call from Shell Megson. Get my notes here, forgive me. Douglas County Commissioners, of course, I have a call into them, but they had a drive-through testing on the Corona system, and they had this set up to where a new company that's called Quest, and they have to be able to qualify for this test, you have to have a doctor's note ordering the test, and this company has a pretty quick turnaround. It's a little bit expensive, but apparently it's a very good system, and I'm also going to give the link to that just if there's people out in our community that want to take a look at this link. And then the idea here is that in this drive-through testing, if we could implement this to Curry County in an accelerated way, when and if the time comes and as is needed, the whole system would involve the Curry Health Network, Public Health Authority Ward, the fairgrounds, if that's the place we decide would be the logical location to do this, the Sheriff's Department for traffic control. I'm hoping we don't get to that situation, but Douglas County took some very proactive opportunities there, and it looks like it has been a very successful program. So I want to open it up to the floor here. I'd like to, the people in the audience, if any of you would like to speak. I know that you had, Assessor Cullen, an idea. We were going to call on you. for IT preparation and for off-campus work, and how you might connect with Coos Curry and our IT people. And that's probably not all you want to discuss, but I'll let you take the sequence that suits you.
Yes, thank you, Jim Cullen, Curry County Assessor, and really, I asked Phil if he could attend the meeting this afternoon, because I know that there's been several department heads and elected officials who have wondered how the remote working process might be set up, and well, really what they need to do with IT to get that going. And this started out to be a department head and elected officials meeting, and I was hoping maybe Phil could address that for us, and maybe we can get Phil's part out of the way and let him go back to work on some of the other stuff that he's trying to catch up on.
Phil, welcome. Good, great to have you here. Is everybody able to hear okay at this point?
Commissioners,
Okay.
my name's Phil Dixon, representing Coos Curry Electric. Here to answer a few questions regarding the situation. Go ahead.
Thank you. Okay. Thanks for that response. Much appreciated. Go ahead, Mr. Dixon. Thank you.
Assessor Colin asked a question about setting us up for folks to be able to work from home. Currently, we do allow this without much change. Those individuals that have county-issued laptops typically already have the ability to work remotely from their home or library or any place there's a Wi-Fi signal. And we are in a position to even add some additional software to desktop computers if it was so chosen by the department heads that they wanted a computer for an employee to carry home, a computer that wasn't a laptop. We can also arrange that. So it's not very difficult. Emails from the department heads of kind of what they're planning and any questions they may continue on with business as usual. Anything else?
Yeah. Hang on. Go ahead.
My home computer, you'll set it up so that my home computer can access the county?
It will only be county-owned computers. It must be something the county.
Council Huddle?
Thank you. So you said employees who already have a county-issued laptop, it won't be a home computer. What do you think our current capacity is as far as county-owned laptops versus number of employees? In other words, if we went to a county-wide, work from home, are we able to do that with the current number of, laptops that we have?
No.
Okay.
The majority of the county machines are desktops. They're more cost effective than going with a laptop. But I would say if you were to throw a quick percentage out, I would think at least 25% of the county computers right now in key departments are laptops.
Okay, I see, for instance, Commissioner Gold's got a laptop. I don't know if Commissioner Boyce has one over there. I think Commissioner Pash already has his laptop at home. I have a county. Oh, thank you. You're here. Good.
Welcome.
And I have one, but I'm just wondering if departments, identify, and of course some departments won't need, working from home at the road department doesn't make a ton of sense. They're out in the field. But other departments, I don't know if all the departments have laptops so much. You think maybe 25% of our county workforce has laptops available to them?
Roughly, without coming out, I wasn't prepared for that
Sure,
question.
thank you.
But I would think that would be a fair estimate. And I do believe most county directors or the departments, most people are using a laptop.
Okay.
There'd be a couple of exceptions, but we even got Roadmaster Richardson, he's now with a laptop. Most of the BOC has one. Assessor Colin has one. Ms. Crockett, I believe she has a laptop as well. Most of the people that are running the departments are on laptops.
And what the VPN allows you to do is access your county email accounts and your county server files.
That is correct.
Okay.
So I want to ask just a quick question, then I want to call on the other two commissioners. I think 2 months ago you had kind of a little VPN seminar. That was very helpful. I wonder if you might have to do a little brush up on that at some point?
At any time you need those skills kind of polished.
Do you think
up,
that might be an appropriate? Okay, good. And everybody knows what that is. It just sets the whole program.
Really, the only issue that we would have that I can foresee is printing people might not have printers at their house that are compatible with their home laptop, so that could be a bit of an issue, but they could still print. The jobs would end up going to your county copier or your county.
We might end up going paperless yet, right? Commissioner Gold.
A couple of questions. I don't think it would be real difficult for us to unhook the desktops and take them home and hook them up at home. Even I can do that, techno retard. But also on the printer issue, would it be possible to maybe forward the email to our personal email and then print it from there?
As a technical answer, that is possible, but the legality you'd probably have to run by a county council to make sure that there's no. We don't want to give you, opinion, but technically, that's no problem.
Okay.
So everybody that's on the phone, do any of you have? Commissioner Pash, I'm sorry, you first.
Well, I just have one question from Phil, if I could ask. I mean, as far as I can see, for really essential services, the only person I can see that we might have a problem with is the elections office and the county recorder and all that. And I'm just wondering, does she have a laptop, or if not, could you get her one?
Currently, both the clerk and the deputy clerk are using laptops.
Okay, good. All right, thanks.
And also, just real quick, we do have 2, maybe 3 laptops right now downstairs. I have one ready to go as a loaner laptop, and I can have 2 more ready to go probably by Monday.
That's great. That's great.
Okay, that'd be great, yeah.
Anything else, Commissioner Pash?
No, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody on the phone that needs to ask questions, or even for that matter, that might see difficulties with this system? I don't think we're saying that everybody's going home, including the department heads. I mean, that's up to each individual department, is my initial take as we sit here today. So anybody on the phone want to ask questions or make comments?
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
This is Debbie Crumley.
Hi.
I do not have a laptop to take home. Would that be possibilities that I could obtain one?
I think I'm hearing Phil say he has one now and hopes to have 2 additional ones for a total of 3, but perhaps by Monday. So, yeah, I would think you would be a high priority.
All right, thank you.
Staff Jesuit, did you have something else? Okay, Mr. Gold.
My question on the treasurer's laptop would be, would she need more capacity than a regular laptop because of the big spreadsheets and so forth that she's working with?
To answer that question, fortunately, the 2, we have 3 right now available. One is a bit of an older machine, kind of works in a pinch. The other 2 are fairly modern, and I would need some time to prep the laptop for Treasurer Crumley to be able to use. Each department has a basic software package. Then everybody could have very unique pieces of software that would be, instrumental in their department. So there again, with Treasurer Crumley, she would need some additional financial software. We'd have to take some time to get loaded, but we could handle that.
Okay.
Councilor Huddle, anything else?
No, I do agree that I think the treasurer is a key personnel who should have a laptop.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else on the phone? Don't be bashful. There's no rush here.
This is Leah with Oasis on the phone.
Hi, Leah.
Hi. Hey, I appreciate you conducting this meeting the way that you have. I just want to make a comment that I am in a conversation with the Oregon Community Foundation and the Ford Family Foundation, along with a bunch of community partners, just initiated this conversation a few hours ago to see if they have some emergency funds that can assist low-income folks who are the unemployment benefits are not going to be enough to help them pay their rent or groceries or whatever it might be to help bridge that gap. So when that comes to fruition, I'll give you more information. But we wanted to be able to help prevent homelessness in the wake of all this. So I wanted to make you apprised of that.
Well, thank you. Much appreciated, Leah. Any more questions for Phil? He's chomping to get back to work.
There was a question briefly that you touched on, Commissioner Gold, regarding desktops going home. There again, as we were directed, or are directed to make that available to go, we'll have to add a little bit of software to the desktop to allow that virtual private network connection.
And so I have a question related to that. Would you be able to maybe add the printer software that we have at home to the desktop? So it would be easier for the people to print if they needed to.
I wouldn't think that would be illegal.
I don't foresee, just right here, without thoroughly thinking that through, I don't really see a problem with that.
Okay.
I might want to really, think that through and look at it from different angles, but right now I don't see any issue.
Commissioner Gold, you had, I think, a good idea that it could be forwarded to county staff here, the head office, or just about anywhere that could be within the county confines that could print it and then get it to whomever. So that may not be.
I will share with you too, on every laptop that we put forward, as well as desktop as well, we have the ability to print to a PDF, meaning anything that you choose to print, it turns it into a document that you would save on your computer in a file. So it wouldn't necessarily hit a printer, but you could then keep all those documents in a folder, and then when you're by a printer, then you could do
I guess I'm just kind of old school and I have to be able to touch it and read it, and anyway.
Any more questions for IT Dixon?
Thank you, Commissioners.
Good work, thank you. Roadmaster Christensen or Planning Director Crockett, did either one of you want to speak? Okay, you're okay for now.
I think so.
All right. I'm going to go to Clerk Colin first, please. Do you have something you want to, you got the news about the election, huh? For the primary seems to be as planned.
Primary, this is Renee Colin, County Clerk. Primary is on schedule as normal.
Did you have anything else?
Not at this time.
Okay. So we're looking at a news release possibly that Council Huddle and his staff have worked on, and I won't read the whole thing, but it's a little over a page. I think it's pretty thorough. It's a general reminder of where the county sits right now, day-to-day basis, the general social distancing, the requirements there, stop the spread, but yet how we can keep our county services intact as best we can. With Director Crockett here and Assessor Colin, I think I'll start, come back to you, Jim, if you wouldn't mind. Give the group, a little bit of a synopsis on what you've set up in your office and why.
Jim Colin, County Assessor. What we've set up.
Pull that mic up. There you go. Thank you.
What we've set up in the assessor's office is that we've closed our door to walk-in traffic and are encouraging people to transact their business either online or by telephone calls. However, if people absolutely need to come in, please call us and make an appointment, and we will take care of them. We've been doing that since lunch today, and already we've had 4 people come in just because they weren't aware of the change in policy, and so we opened the door to them and took care of their business anyway. So I'm hoping that this is going to work out well for everybody. The reason for it is that what we seem to be learning around the country and statewide is that social distancing is a factor in keeping the coronavirus from spreading, and so that's what we're all about. It seems like corporations are doing this, other county governments are doing this. I forwarded you a copy of what they're doing in Washington County, and it looks like they're countywide pretty much urging the public to transact their business either online or by phone or make appointments to come in, pretty much like what we're doing in the assessor's office. And it looks like Coos County has also signed an order, and I think you got a copy of that. I brought a copy by, hopefully you got to see it,
Good information.
Which is essentially doing the same thing. They're actually doing a public closure of their courthouse and other county offices for the safety of county employees and the public. County offices shall be closed to the general public where possible, it says. The goal is department heads and elected officials shall make the determination of whether their offices are going to remain partially or fully closed to the public. I would consider what we're doing in the assessor's office a partial closure. We're still going to transact business with the public, and at least so far, we've had no difficulty in taking care of the needs that have arisen. But this is new. This is a time in our history that's unprecedented in any of our lifetimes, right? A national and a global public health emergency. So I would say that at least for the assessor's office, things may change for the better or the worse, just depending on what takes place or how successful we are in preventing the spread of this virus. But I would say that over the past couple of days, I've gotten questions from other county department heads and elected officials, asking me about what I'm doing and not knowing for certain whether or not they're allowed to do that for their departments because they're employees and they are concerned about this spread. And I had hoped that, and maybe Council Huddle would tell us that in your earlier meeting today and yesterday, you seem maybe to have allowed for department heads and elected officials to make that determination for their own operations. And so I guess.
I just think we want to tell the public, though, and I presume everybody be in agreement, we want to do it through the press release.
Absolutely.
We have a unified policy, and I think that's the best basis for the two meetings we're having today, and I assume the subsequent meetings. Director Crockett, would you mind coming up? And I just have a quick question for you. Jim, you can stay there, but that's a pretty tall microphone, isn't it? I think the determination you made for your department down there is pretty similar to what Assessor Cullen has done with his department. Is that a fair analysis?
Well, first of all, we're open for business.
Yes.
We're just open for business in a little bit different way.
Okay.
We encourage people to call or do their business transaction online. If they can't submit their applications online and pay with a credit card, we have put a box outside our door and they're instructed to put the plans in the box. We actually have 100% chlorine granules in the box that we take out, and we're having a policy internally to leave stuff in the box with the chlorine granules for at least a couple of days. And we came to this, I'm representing building and planning at this point. We sat down and thought, what's going on here? We're getting a lot of people from Seattle, a lot of people from the Bay Area, people from Europe coming in and looking for properties in this part of the country, and in large part because they're looking to find a place they can isolate themselves. That's concerning where they're from, and we decided that wasn't good, and so internally when we talked, it was clear that almost every person in building and planning had a partner or spouse with a compromised immune system. So that was kind of the clincher for us. Yesterday morning we decided to just close the door and go totally online, which is, for us, it's somewhat consistent with our current operations. We do have a couple of issues out there that we have not resolved yet, and I will talk to the Oregon planning directors tomorrow morning about procedures related to the 120-day and 150-day requirement by state statute, and John said he's worked on that already at the state level, which I appreciate. The other issue is the Planning Commission. We cannot hold a Planning Commission meeting where people want to come and testify, so we're struggling with how best to do that, and I'm going to wait and have that discussion with the planning directors tomorrow morning. But yeah, it's a pretty scary issue when you know that your partner is severely, in some cases, immune compromised. So we have to do something.
So, quick question here. From what you just presented there and the basis of your decision, which I agree with, just one commissioner here, you're probably not real anxious to offer appointments as the assessor is. Is that fair to say, or what's your thoughts there?
No, we'll take appointments. We've had appointments. We set them up carefully, clean before the person comes and clean after the person comes. We make sure that they sit 6 feet apart, and we're careful where they come in and out. The only concern that is still up there for us is public utilization of the restrooms. And I do put that on the table as a continuing concern for us downstairs.
Well said and appreciated. So, so I really am hearing that you both have identical approaches to, you know, you're directing your whole programs. Is that? I'm not seeing any difference, I guess, what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I don't know that it probably in the building and planning we take more money than Mr. Colin does. And, you know, there has been some concern brought up by a couple of people. When we take credit cards, we have to charge 2.5% interest on that credit card transaction. So there's been some concern with that. We've suggested if they don't want to do the credit card, they can put a check in the box out front, and we'll check the box on a regular basis and get the check.
Okay, before you leave, I just had one more question for you, Assessor Colin. Are you sending your appraisers out in the field much at this time?
I think it's safe to send our appraisers out in the field. The one thing that we won't be doing is having them initiate contact with the public.
Okay.
There's plenty of vacant properties to do appraisals on out there, and in this day and age, it's not ideal to have them stop at the curb in front of somebody's house and do the work without initiating contact, but it's what we're left with. So they will be doing that sort of work too.
So do either one of you?
You asked if I was doing the same thing as Director Crockett. I would have to say that just her being here today, I've already learned a couple of things.
Yes.
And which is, to me, one of the reasons for us to get together and talk about these things. First, you know, I wish I was as intelligent as she is and opened with saying first, you know, we are open for business. May I plagiarize you on that? And then
That's
the other
be the
thing,
top sentence in
the other
our
thing that I've
news
learned
release.
is they've got a box that they put chlorine crystals in for accepting documents and things, and a couple of the things that I've learned that I'm going to work on for our office. We do take a fair amount of cash. Right now, our thoughts were to isolate the cash, you know, to the extent we can for however many days seems appropriate, and then.
Okay, I want to ask you both 6 feet. No, I want to ask one more question, then I'd like to go to Commissioner Pash. So let's talk about the restrooms. Let's get it out in the open. I mean, do we have a recommendation? I certainly understand the reluctance. And is that, I mean, how do we handle it? Do we have a policy? Do we have a procedure that we could do? I mean, I used to do that at my lodge a lot of times, you know, multiple times per day, even when we didn't have these kind of situations. So what's your thoughts there? And how we can protect our staff?
I agree that's got to be a concern, and I don't know what the answer to your question is, but it seems like our Director of Maintenance, Chet, maybe ought to get together with our Public Health Authority, Ms. Ward, and determine what the appropriate rotation or schedule should be.
I'm going to bring that up this afternoon. So, anything else, Director Crockett? Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I want to go to Commissioner Pash. Do you have anything first there?
No, I don't.
Commissioner Gold?
I'm not sure whether this would be appropriate or not for the restrooms, but as we are in a public building, are we required to keep those open at all times? Or could we have some sort of like a fob system or something so employees only could use the restrooms? Just curious, is that legal?
We'll research that, and then we can start that process. So, Councilor Huddley, do you have anything else?
No, my, just 2-second answer for Commissioner Gold is I think there is a requirement that we have public restrooms available, but I will research that and get a definitive answer.
Except when in a state of emergency.
I suppose in a state of emergency, a lot of things can change.
We got to protect our staffs. Okay. So we talked. I want just to bring up. Did you have anything else? Okay. Anybody else on the phone with questions with either Director Crockett or Assessor Cullen?
It's Connie Hunter, and I have some information that it's kind of a question regarding the court. I know that Port Orford postponed all their court matters until May, and I know the city manager and municipal court judge were working during conversations. They're likely to postpone their court proceedings, but many courts do the same thing. But something that Gary Millman shared with me is that a private vendor has also come out with a new virtual court program that some of the stakeholders are looking at. And so I didn't know if the county knew about that, and I just wanted to interject that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Hunter. Go ahead. I was just going to call on you.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, sir. So I'll talk. Am I a little too loud, or is this okay?
Your volume's very good. Thank you.
All right. Just wanted to make sure. So in respect to at least state court, we're having conference calls with Chief Justice, State Court Administrator twice a week right now. We have a Chief Justice order that is restricting our courthouse operations and what the court is hearing that is effective through next Friday. The indication is that May it likely will be extended. I do not know the period of time. The problem that state courts runs into is there are some statutorily mandated hearings that we have to hold at this time. Those hearings are matters with individuals in custody, juveniles that are in custody, arraignments, pleas, those kind of matters, shelter hearings, restraining order matters have to be heard in the court. We also have to hear any in-custody trials unless the individuals waive that 60-day trial requirement as that process moves forward. So we have greatly reduced the types of hearings that we are having. The matters that we can reschedule, we have rescheduled those. We have moved those matters out. We're currently reviewing all of our matters after March 27th with the expectation that things will continue to get extended through the Chief Justice order, potentially into late April or even late May. If that's the case, we will continue to follow the guidance of the Chief Justice's order and that of the governor to move matters out. The problem we continue to run into is those statutory requirements. So we are posting minimum court services. We have reduced the court staffing pattern by over 50%. If you combine all my staff with Houston Curry, these conditions are the same are the same conditions being applied in all 36 counties that have state court operations. This is a very trying time and a time that we really don't have a roadmap for. So we are very much finding the target, pointing and shooting, and hoping that we land on mark and do what we need to do to protect not only ourselves and the public as much as we can. But unfortunately, because of those statutory requirements at this time, we have to have some limited service. And with that limited service means our windows are open at this time because of some of those matters that have to be filed and require public contact. So that's kind of where we stand. We don't have the luxury of being able to set everything out because it's only violations and or it's only minor misdemeanor charges that can be continued. Some of these things just cannot be continued and are the nature of public service and the public forum that we work in. So it is a sea that no one's traveled in, and we're trying to all travel in it together. So I'm appreciative of this phone call and these conversations.
Mr. Lankford, how could we get that information out to our public? What would you recommend there? Even a simple email might be effective. What's your thoughts?
So I have sent it to the Curry Pilot
Okay.
on our website. I have a press release that's on our website. I've sent it to all the bar and community members, all the police agencies I've communicated that with. I'm more than willing to send that press. I believe I CC'd the press release to the commissioners on Monday when I sent it out as well. You can take that press release if you would like and attach it to your press release. That would be completely fine by me. It's posted in the courthouses along with signs urging the public and encouraging the public not to enter the building if they're feeling sick or ill and want to reschedule matters. Understand for the most part, the public is not going to be in the building because of how we've rescheduled things. But if parties are going to want to file documents at this time, we can't turn them away. There's no, we have the legal obligation to accept those documents from the party. Our windows are open. Same way, if the parties want to make payments at this time, we're not turning those individuals away. And I understand, the Chief Justice understands, the State Court Administrator understands, the Marshal's Office understands that this virus lives on cardboard for at least 24 hours, can live on paper for up to 12 hours. There's some understanding or some information that it may only live on paper documents for 3 to 4 hours. Again, I'm not a scientist. Some of this is erring on the side of caution. Some of this is handling documents with gloves to the best of our ability. But whatever you need from me in terms of trying to communicate better to the public, I'm more than willing to provide and to share. We'll do another press release information if the Chief Justice extends her order on March 27th. I'm working on that now, just with the understanding this may happen. That's going to go into a little bit more detail for the public, our partner agencies, what can happen at the court, which is still for the most part business as normal. If you're filing the document, you're trying to get a hearing, it's not business as normal. We're looking out to the future. We don't know what the future looks like right now, and that is unnerving to all of us involved because we don't know if it's going to be 30 days, 60 days, or 18 months. So it could be short-lived or it may be very long.
Well, thank you very much for calling in and offering that. Yes, Council Huddle. Commissioner Pash, you're first, and then Council Huddle.
Yeah, this is Pash. I just wanted to let Tom know that, yes, he did send that to us. It was on Tuesday morning, so we do have a copy of it.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks again. Council Huddle.
Thank you. Tom Langford, John Huddle here, and we've had some conversations over here. As you know, I think at least 2 of our county departments share space in that building with you. If I'm understanding correctly, you are required, in order to let people have their statutory and constitutional rights to court access and stuff, to have the public enter into that building. One of the questions we've been having is, I think you've seen some of our departments are, again, asking the public not to come, and maybe just saying by appointment only, et cetera. We're taking filings through a hole in a wall or a drawer, a bin or something. But for our 2 departments that work over there, they were wondering if we have discussed whether we should close that courthouse down. It sounds like the answer is we really, as a county, can't do that. You, as a court, state court, have a requirement to have that thing be open. So if our departments over there want to limit public access, they would have to do it at their office level versus at the front door level. Is that fair summary?
No, that's a fair summary, John. And I'll share with you what's going on up here in Coos. And as we know, John, I get the privilege to represent both Coos and Curry. So in Coos, the commissioners here we're having the same conversation this week, and they were considering, I think, the same things that the commissioners there are considering. In that, should the county close offices close the courthouse completely and leave access to state courts, or should there be some kind of middle ground reached? And yesterday, the commissioners here, and I'm not sure if anyone has seen their press release, but yesterday the commissioners made a decision in Coos County to close all county offices to appointment only. So the county offices in Coos County are closed, except for appointment only. The courthouse is open, our windows are open, but all the county offices are locked. So if members of the public want to see a county office or do any business with a county office, they must schedule that by appointment. So that's what was decided here. If the county decided in Coos to completely shutter service and close, they were going to still leave access to the courts, and the building would be open, and we were going to work out a mechanism for doing that. I know the mechanism there is looking for, because the doors locked, that unlock and lock at a certain time. So that's kind of what's going on here, and I think some of the things that the VOC there is grappling with today, and I think that the decisions in both the best interest of public and of the personnel that work in the county.
Mr. Lankford, we're looking at the Coos County, it's called a temporary policy, and this one is specific to employee safety, and that was done yesterday. Is that the one you're referencing?
That is, sir, and I sat in on those meetings as well with our county commissioners here in Coos as well.
Well, thank you. And yeah, just the heading, the subheadings real quick are general employee safety measures, public closures. So that's at the bottom of page 1, staggered shifts, telecommuting. We talked a lot about that yesterday, additional leave for certain county employees, and then the exceptions and the duration of policy. So no surprise, this is very well done, and that was provided to us by Assessor Colin just earlier today. So yeah, thank you on that one, and some clarifications recognized by Council Huddle there.
John, did I answer your question?
Yes, Thomas. Do you have any insight into the earlier question about public buildings and public bathrooms?
Everybody's smiling on that. Oh yeah, everybody's smiling on that one.
So
we're putting you on the spot, man.
This is completely okay. So I'm not really sure if the buildings are open, even if they're open the way that they are in Coos, by appointment only, if we should lock the restrooms. I think I would discourage us from doing that because of other things that may happen to trash cans and other matters like that.
Sure. What's the alternative? Yeah.
I can tell you in Coos what's happening right now is they are looking at hiring a temporary employee to basically circle the building and just wipe down those commonly touched surfaces. That would be their only job. And I can tell you a lot of other offices, state agencies, and healthcare facilities, Coos Health and Wellness, they have assigned personnel to only do that task. So I believe the commissioners and county council in Coos are exploring or moving forward with hiring a person to only do that. They're going to wipe down door handles and knobs and push bars and elevator buttons and all those commonly touched surfaces, cleaning services that I'm able to provide. Because again, this list that this can live on surfaces for at least what's being reported for 72 hours. And again, I'm not a healthcare professional, so don't quote me on my knowledge with how long viruses live and don't live and die. But looking at those kind of things, and obviously my staff have been instructed, you must police your own space, to wash your hands and practice proper hygiene. Because we reduced our staffing patterns in half and are having staff work from home and I'm rotating staff into that rotation, we're able to adhere to the social distancing that's been asked for by all levels of government and all levels of healthcare professionals. So again, I think this is changing hourly, I don't know most days how it ended up being 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and ensuring that we can continue to communicate with everyone that we have interactions with every single day, from our staff to the media to stakeholders, and try to share this information as things change. So I don't know what the answer is there. I would most likely discourage locking the bathrooms, because I want people to wash their hands as much as they can. And so, if people can't wash their hands and there's not access to hand sanitizer, as we all know we can't buy it, then I want somebody to be able to get in the bathroom as fast or as easy as they can to wash their hands, and that's every 30 minutes. They feel comfortable, and that's what I think we would all want.
Excuse me, this is David Barnes. Mind if I say something?
Always.
In order, if Curry County was to follow the Coos model, what would be, would there be any preventative to just locking the front door, and whoever your appointment is with will come and meet you at the door and escort you into the building, and then back out again? And that really puts, that answers the question of bathroom and everything else, no?
I think that's what Assessor Colin's presently doing, and I presume Director Crockett and her staff are as well. Okay, go ahead, Assessor Colin.
Yeah, currently, because the outside doors are open, we'd just be meeting our folks right outside our door.
Gotcha.
And escorting them in and out. If you made the decision to close those outside doors, we could certainly follow that practice as suggested by Mr. Barnes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you again, Mr. Langford. Do you miss Ohio?
This is going on in Ohio and in Michigan. So, my dad works for the state of Michigan, and I still have contacts back in Ohio. So, it's been interesting, as I'm sure many of you have, to be able to talk to professionals throughout the nation that are also grappling with the same issue and these same questions, these same complex problems.
Well, we're very glad you're here. And any more questions for Thomas Langford?
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes. Go.
Josh Santel, District Attorney. I don't have any questions for Mr. Langford. I just wanted to follow up his comments about the court postponing hearings and all that. We, in my office, have also canceled grand jury proceedings for this month and for April as well. I know our goal is to reduce having to bring in members of the public to do jury service during this time. I'm sure I can speak for the circuit courts when I say that as well.
Thanks, Mr. District Attorney. Any questions for either of the last two speakers there? State courts. Go ahead.
With regard to the district attorney, thank you for your complete answer earlier. Additionally, I wanted to make sure that Curry Community Health, behavioral health staff, and CEO are on the email list for press releases. Please, I do chair their advisory board for behavioral health over there, and I really appreciate to be on that list as well if possible. Thank you.
Thank you again. Next. Okay, I think we're going to be looking, I'm going to recommend to the full board that we look at the Coos County temporary policy. There's some others out there that we're aware of that might be more tailored to Curry interests, but this year the Coos County document looks pretty good, and then tie that all into the news release. In addition, we still want to get together this afternoon and perhaps hopefully work out a unified plan for whatever we might be facing, different options, and move forward as we can get closer to Monday. So right now we don't have, other than the meeting this afternoon. We don't have anything scheduled for tomorrow. Is that correct?
As far as I know.
Commissioner Pash? Anything you want to add?
I don't have anything scheduled for tomorrow for meetings, no.
Okay, so...
Actually, I have a meeting down in South County tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, so right now our next scheduled meeting is Wednesday. And again, depending on how this continues to evolve, we might call a meeting for Monday. I doubt it. And we'd probably have to do that tomorrow and notify everyone. So we'll just go in a holding pattern. We'll learn all we can the rest of this day and tomorrow. And, you know, we're all getting updated, continual information. Is very helpful and pertinent to everything we're all dealing with. I just want to extend gratitude to everyone that called in, and we're also going to be discussing. I think it was Assessor, maybe it was Clerk Colin this morning that mentioned that we might want to have these as kind of a staff meeting in the morning. And I'm certainly open to that. I believe the commissioners, the other two commissioners, would be open to that. So we'll just carry on and again see how this thing evolves. Anything else last minute that somebody needs to communicate? Well, thanks again. Special meeting, emergency meeting, more later. Bye all.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Hey, Eric, way to get he and
Well, we're here with Commissioner Colleen Roberts for the monthly meeting of the ONC Board, which Colleen sits on. Colleen, why don't you tell our audience a little bit